Hello, this is John Harvey. He is the Chief Content Officer of DangerTV, and I'm really happy to have him today on the video podcast for Tom Benty Media. I met John at an Ad Age event a few weeks ago in the city, and he lives right in Montclair, and he was nice enough to come down to Edison and talk a little bit about his time at DangerTV. So, John, thanks for coming out here.
Absolutely, Tom.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
So first off, why don't you just tell us a little bit about DangerTV, what it is, and how it came to be.
Absolutely. DangerTV started in 2016. That's when we first started putting content up on our main website, DangerTV.com. And what we've done is aggregated over 800 hours of danger and adventure premium content, mainly TV series and documentaries, all factual, that span a huge range of danger and adventure topics. So we have everything from extreme sports to military special forces to animal attacks to the survival and disaster to speed and a variety of other topics. So what we've done is pulled together a lot of things that maybe had individual channels devoted to them, but under this overall umbrella of danger.
It's really cool. And how did you become a part of DangerTV?
I was recruited by my good friend Harvey, who was the president of Univision.com and also Galavision, both parts of Univision. And Harvey brings a great dual background in both cable TV and online marketing and programming. So this was his concept, and he'd been working on it for a couple of years before we actually got up and running. But now we're finding great new distribution partners and spreading out our footprint in an amazing way. And Javi's experience in this has been obviously paramount.
Cool. And in terms of the Chief Content Officer, what exactly does that mean? Like, what's your day-to-day work opportunities like?
Absolutely. There's a variety of things that I do. Number one thing is acquiring content. So we're reaching out to production houses, catalog houses around the world that have our type of content in English language only. So we deal primarily with the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa for content. Some comes from the United States as well. So we put together deals to be able to broadcast our content only in the U.S. On our site, but also across our distribution channels that include Samsung TV Plus, Snap, YouTube, and very shortly the Zumo platform.
Cool. And what are you currently working on with DangerTV? Any exciting developments like happening right now?
Well, right now we're having some great success in acquiring new content, new and exciting content that we can use to refresh our platforms. But we're very gratified to see the response on these platforms. So on Samsung TV Plus, which is on at least 5 million sets currently, we're seeing that people have a session time of close to an hour, and we ran over 1 million viewing hours within the first 3.5 months on Samsung. So that puts us in the top 3 to 5% of viewing time on that network. It's a similar story on Roku, which we went up on about a year ago, and we're expecting to get similar results on Zumo as well. On Snap, which is also a new platform for us, we went up on it in November. We had over 3 million snaps viewed in the first month, and as we've grown, we've had up to 4 million snaps, 4 million views of snaps for any individual snap. So wherever we are distributing our content, we're seeing an incredible response to it.
And what is Snap for someone who's not familiar with that? I haven't heard much about Snap.
Absolutely. Well, Snap is a short form video app where users are able to post 6-second pieces, and there's a secondary, more professional side of it, which is called the Discover function. And so if you're looking at your phone on the lower right when you have the Snap app up, you're able to go into this Discover section and see what they call Snap Stories, which are much longer. They tend to run 3 to 5 minutes, and we're able to use our longer form content and cut it down to some of the most exciting footage and most succinct and engaging storytelling.
Cool. So it seems like one of the best aspects of Danger TV is that you have both long form content and short form content for both platforms. So you're gearing and editing this content for each distribution platform.
Exactly. So both Roku and Zumo have the opportunity to have a VOD library of all your full-length stuff, but also to have short-form content. So we're able to create shorter versions, which basically function as previews of the longer-form shows, but they are their own self-contained, entertaining short piece that we can also monetize. And we're also working with a company called Top Buzz, which is a news and entertainment app that's owned by ByteDance, which also owns TikTok, which is probably better known. But Top Buzz features short news videos from a variety of high-end brands, so all the TV networks, plus ESPN and a variety of other well-known providers of video are up on this system, and so we are able to monetize short form on that as well. And we're shooting for about a minute-long piece on those. That's kind of the sweet spot for Top Buzz's video.
Cool.
So.
And you have a big YouTube presence, correct?
Absolutely. We have long form on YouTube, which we rotate content in and out. We don't leave it up indefinitely, and heavily promote it and monetize it.
And why is that?
I don't think you want to have too many choices. Number one. Number two, you're trying to monetize the content, and you want to promote just a certain set amount of content on a monthly basis. And that just seems to be what works according to the company we work with, which is called Triton out of Toronto.
And they're doing the analytics for you, the Triton?
They do it, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you get those reports, like what are the things that you're looking for in terms of viewership and how people are engaging and responding to the content that's on there?
Well, they give us a variety of stuff, which ranges from how many people are watching, how many people are subscribed, what is the time spent, how many different shows do they watch in a session, etc. But it's been gratifying to see that growing on a very consistent basis. And we met with them last week, and just basically all of our metrics were up approximately 5 to 7% across the board. So it's strong, consistent growth, and we're able to monetize because we've already reached kind of the thresholds to be able to get into the advertising system on YouTube. So
cool. So I think when you're starting a company like this and you're a part of it, a big aspect of that is making those good connections and collaborating and making good partners for the concept that you have and the content that you're providing. Right. Who do you feel at this point has really been a solid partner for you and that you feel a good synergy with?
Well, I think we're feeling that with all our partners. We feel that with Samsung. We feel that with Snap, and you basically have to be selected by Snap to get into this system. This is a curated system that is not open to anybody, just anybody to come in and run their 3 to 5 things. They have to say, we think your content's going to work and make sense. And they've done a great job of monetizing it. So, we're seeing tons of blue chip brands in there like Lexus, Toyota, Hilton, HBO, Sprint, Ford, and it's great to see that number one, they can monetize it so easily. Number two, that we're seeing the type of high-end brands that we want to see associated with Danger, and also that there's no people understand that we do Danger in a way that is brand friendly and brand safe. Cool.
And in terms of your own personal preferences, what are some of the videos on Danger, either short form or long form, that you just really respond to, that you personally like the best?
Well, I think one of the best is Human Prey, which recreates animal attacks that were near fatal for people, and they also interview the actual people involved in these things, and it's really done. The reenactment is done in an extremely realistic way without being too over the top. And then to get the actual stories being told to you by the people on it, I think is really, really incredible. Austin Stevens Adventures is another great show. He's a wildlife photographer who risks his life to get up close and personal with some of the deadliest animals on Earth. That's fantastic. And another very popular one is Special Forces, which is out of Australia. And what they've done is gone and done hourly segments on all the top special forces around the Pacific and Asia. So it's places like the Philippines and China, the Beijing Special Commandos, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Thailand, etc. But we think the SEALs have to go through some pretty tough stuff. These guys really have to go through some tough stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I was on the YouTube site and I saw some really cool surfing videos, and that's stuff that I personally respond to because I grew up surfing, and there is a huge element of danger, and that's probably some of the appeal to being a surfer and getting out there and catching some waves. But that was really some cool footage that I saw. Where do you think Danger's going? I mean, it's a brand new company. Where do you see this company going in the next year, 5 years, 10 years?
Well, we're already experiencing really exponential growth because we're on the Samsung TV Plus system, which essentially when you turn your TV on, if you have it, Samsung from 2017 or newer, you get this content suite laid out in front of you that looks like a VOD channel or VOD system that you would have within Verizon or Comcast. Mm-hmm. So they're able to present what they do before you even get to the sort of network or cable providers. And that is expected to grow to about 35 million by the end of this year. Wow. Because there's widespread adoption of the smart TVs, and also they are going back and kind of using firmware to retrofit TVs going back to 2015. So that is going to be about 35 million by the end of the year. Working with Zumo, which has a similar system but works with multiple smart TV manufacturers, they provide the same type of service for LG, Vizio, Panasonic, Fine Access, and a couple other TVs. So basically, they control about 40% of the market, and they're 28 to 30 million TVs now. So we're going to be on 75% of the connected TVs in the US and over 60 million sets by the end of the year. And as I like to say, basically, every TV sold in Costco is going to have Danger TV on it by the end of the year. So, in fact, every TV in Costco will have Danger TV on it by another month from now. So, so that is a massive base. We're also expanding what we're doing on Roku. We've been in talks with Pluto TV. We're probably going to go up on that. There's some other opportunities. Some cable providers are even reaching out to us and saying, would it make sense to have a linear cable channel with us? And so we're looking at that as well. But just the sky's the limit for what we're doing because there's just so many people who are cutting the cord and looking for new exciting content, even though they're not connected to their cable provider anymore, or if may have gone to a skinny bundle where there isn't that many channels to choose from. They want more variety, they want something exciting, they want something new. And our content is also very on trend because people are getting really into outdoor sports and
it's true, yeah.
And riskier personal adventures. So I think we kind of fit into all of those areas and the trends that millennials are going through.
Now, with that expansion, is potentially going to come creating more of your own content, producing more like Danger TV's own original series?
Absolutely. So, till now we really have been curating content, which has been premium content. It is run already on TV stations around the world, and is super premium content. But as we move into our next funding stage, we are definitely going to start doing original ideas. We have over 16 original TV show ideas to develop. So it crosses everything from crime to survival to extreme sports to military and espionage, which I think is going to be very exciting.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you've had some experience with Sports Illustrated and Golf Digest, so you've had a pretty extensive career. Can you talk a little bit about how the industry has changed in the last generation or so, and from an industry standpoint, where do you see it going in the future? I know we can't really predict that, but everybody tries, and I would just like your personal take on it.
Well, it's very interesting because all the publishers who are sitting on a ton of content want to be able to monetize it in different ways. So, you take a company like Condé Nast, which has a variety of publications in the fashion area. They have Golf Digest, although they sort of sold it just recently. They still have, I think, kind of an interest in it. And they are looking to monetize that in entertainment with Vanity Fair, for example. So they're looking to try to become video producers, TV and film producers. So
moving out of journalism and going into actually creating narrative content.
absolutely. And actually, I worked at Sports Illustrated a number of years ago, and I was kind of pressing for them to do that. And they didn't really get into that, but I actually wrote several stories for Sports Illustrated, and one was on a boxing hero of mine named Harry Greb, and I was, based on that story, I was hired to write a screenplay about his extremely colorful career. He was the favorite fighter of both Mike Tyson and Ernest Hemingway. So he was a very colorful character. And to me, that opened my eyes back then to say, Sports Illustrated has literally thousands of stories, whether they're contemporary sports people or going back, that could be done as well. And I know I also did a stint at People magazine, and we basically heard that every movie of the week, which used to be kind of an old thing that you don't see as much anymore, but they were always based on a People article. So you have, when you do a series or you cover content, you can find out what is popular with people, and Netflix obviously has taken this to the nth level. They know who you are, they know what you watch, they can provide a recommendation for the next thing that you can watch, etc. So publishers have a lot of data as well, and they know what's popular with their readership. They can promote it to their readership. And when I was at Slate until 2016, I developed a TV series with Slate's wine critic, who was a best-selling author and currently still writes for the New York Times on food and sports also. And so we put that together as a package that would include a TV series, taking some of that video and putting it on Slate.com, a column written by this guy, other food editorial around it, as well as events. So there's an ability to package a lot of different elements with what you do, and then very importantly, to promote it as well. So you can be using, you can use your media to promote, your print or your digital media can be used to promote a TV series.
Yeah.
So that was pretty exciting, and that was why when we went and pitched the concept to ZPZ Productions, which does all of Anthony Bourdain's shows, they said, well, if you guys can promote it, then this seems like it makes sense. It's a go. Yeah. And they said, we're in. And then we went to WGBH in Boston, which is the major presenter for virtually every show on PBS, and they said, yes, we like this concept, and if you guys are promote it, that makes perfect sense. And so they also decided to go in with us on that, and ultimately didn't find a sponsor. We're very close with Infinity, but it just showed the potential was there to do something really exciting, and to take advantage of all the different touch points that you have with consumers, because they're reading your content, they're watching your videos. They had a number of newsletters at Slate that could be used to promote it. They had all their social. So publishers, I think, are in a unique position, because they're controlling media that can be used to promote, but they don't always have the expertise to execute the content on in a TV or film format. Although some have.
It just seems like in the 15 years that I've been in the industry, it seems like back then in the early 2000s, everything was so segmented and regimented. Like you were either in publishing or journalism or narrative or reality, and now those lines are completely blurred. And it's about taking advantage of understanding who the audience is and being able to deliver content that speaks to those needs. So it's about understanding the data, gathering that data, and then creating content that really speaks to that data, like just like Netflix does. As we were talking about before the show, I was listening to a BBC podcast with Ted Sarandos, the president of Netflix, and they are so data driven. They, like you said, they know everything about their consumers. They know exactly what actor is going to generate what type of audience. They know what concept's going to generate that type of audience. They see in shows like what plot points are working, and then they go back, and if something's not working, if a character's not working or a plot point's not working, they go back and they edit the second season from a writing standpoint, and they take those elements out or they add elements that are working. So it's all about the audience and understanding the audience. Mm-hmm. And I think from an independent creative standpoint, you don't really understand that. You just think, well, I have this story to tell, and people, it's going to resonate with somebody, and maybe it will, but understanding that you should keep the audience in mind and what the needs are of the audience, I think is a good starting point to be on the creative side of how you're going to approach it. How are you going to develop this TV show, whether it's reality or narrative or a film or something. Understanding like what's going on culturally, what's going on, I guess even politically, what's going on in society that you can speak to from that standpoint. So
absolutely, and you know the fact that they have ratings and people are encouraged to do ratings on shows. That's like getting a free focus group, you know, that gets updated every day with people, you know, putting in comments and explaining what they like about the show. So you're getting this incredible feedback, and obviously they can tee up recommendations. And that's something we want to do in Danger. You know, we definitely want to introduce ratings and let people give ratings on shows, and also to have a better recommendation engine once we're able to capture more data to say this is, we have a bit of one set up now that I think works pretty well, but we know we can do better. And we'd like to be able to also have that available in these other platforms as they kind of evolve and become, you know, more friendly towards that kind of promotion.
And I think from the consumer standpoint, and this is probably from a subliminal standpoint, but it's just like, if Netflix knows like what you like, you have like almost an emotional attachment to Netflix and the shows that they're promoting, because like, well, this company really understands me. So you have to have that rating system involved and to have those recommendations involved. It's a psychological thing. I really believe it contributes to you opening up that Netflix app, because you subliminally understand that they get you. They understand what your needs are and what you like and the types of shows that you like to watch. So
absolutely, yeah. And then that plays out in so many other ways, because when you understand what it is that people want to such a degree, and what the scale of each of the appetite for a particular type of thing is, that also shapes what content in the future you're going to either produce or acquire. So you're getting all these insights to say, okay, well, we know that this particular show is doing super well. You know, it's a horror show, and what are the elements of that? Okay, well, we'll be on the lookout for something similar, you know, that either to acquire, or if someone's pitching us on a new idea to produce, because we already know what the track record of this type of content is, you know, with our specific audience, and we know to what scale it will attract. And so it's just, there's so many far-reaching, you know, implications for having this data that they have. And obviously, I think Amazon Prime is in a similar scenario, but guess what? They even know, you know, what you buy. You know, they know if you
I think
buy
that's why
shows.
that's why they're acquiring content. That's why they're creating content. Amazon is so that you're on their site and you're purchasing things. And I mean, that's the whole reason why they have that model, is just so you're familiar with the Amazon site, so you can purchase whatever you need on Amazon.
Right.
And they understand the correlation between the two.
And I think they even have a little bit better advantage, because let's say you're watching, all-out action film, but they know from your purchase history that you've bought some romantic movie series, or something like a BBC, highly cultured thing, as opposed to an action series. They can make the recommendation to you that doesn't show up in your viewing trail because they know more about your purchase history, and they maybe say like, oh, we saw that you liked 4, but we also have this series called Poldark that that you might enjoy as well. But there wouldn't be a natural, which is kind of a period piece set in like the time of the Revolutionary War. And they wouldn't necessarily draw the connection between those two to give you a recommendation, except that they've seen your purchase history. So that is just another dimension that they can bring to the recommendations.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how it all works and how much, I guess, control the consumer has in terms of their viewing habits and how that's really affecting how these big companies are creating content and how they're gearing that content to their consumers.
It's really a golden age for viewers because just so much quality stuff is coming out there. I mean, from Game of Thrones, is essentially a movie quality experience throughout, and the Jack Ryan one on Amazon. It looks just like a movie series, and then you have, of course, other other stuff on network and cable, from Breaking Bad to Walking Dead, etc., where there's just so much great content out there. It's a little bit scary, I think, for the movie producers because a lot of their kind of the middle level stuff that they used to produce is now seems to be going to these cable and streaming companies. They're still going to make the big action, the big action movie like the Avengers. And they'll go low budget, but kind of that middle thing where it used to be like
dying. The 30 million.
Yeah, the quality film, the literary adaptation, etc. Like those are now seem to be going into the streaming space. And the guy who directed Birdman had an article about this in the New York Times just the other day. That it's a little bit alarming, but the good news is they're still being made,
And you can still watch them, just generally not in the theaters.
Yes, you're just not getting it as a theater experience, which is, this guy was arguing, is like, it would be terrible if it was lost, because it is different. He says if you go to the theater, you're experiencing the movie. If you have it on your laptop, you're watching the movie. And I thought it was kind of an interesting distinction. And he goes, I like to have both personally because I have that control, but it's a different animal to go and see it on a big screen, and I think it would be terrible to lose that.
Yeah, and that's interesting that he was stating that. I didn't read that article yet, but Steven Spielberg was very upset with Netflix because they think they're basically kind of mitigating the whole process of the Academy Awards because they're having theatrical screenings, but it's just a ploy to have people come to their site to watch the Roma or whichever show or whichever film on the actual Netflix site. So it's interesting that he values that theatrical experience, even though he's working with Netflix, who's kind of really destroying that in many respects. I mean, Netflix purchased what's the chain called? I forgot, the iPic. They purchased iPic essentially just so they can have the opportunity to showcase their Oscar-winning films in those theaters, so that they're going to be nominated. So so they are having theatrical experiences and releases, but it's just for like a week, just so they hit that benchmark for the Oscars, and then they push them to the site.
Yeah, they're just hitting the release minimum.
Exactly.
And then they get everybody watching. So
and Spielberg was very upset with that, and there was like this back and forth, but it's the world we live in. What are we going to do? I mean, this is where people are watching stuff, is they're going to Netflix, they're going to Amazon. And it's interesting to see how the theater chains are going to handle that. And you do see a lot of these chains that are offering like dine-in services. You get food and drink at it, so making it more like a home experience to get people to come out of the house. Because I enjoy going to the theater. If just to get out of the house, it's like a Saturday or something, you want to see something, even though you can maybe watch it on Netflix a week or two later. I enjoy it, and it is the experience, and that's what I think the theater chains have to really understand, is that it's not necessarily the movie, but it's the experience of watching it in the big space like that.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting if they thought out, because we were talking so much about how Netflix, gets the involvement of the viewer, in a movie theater, like what can you do that would be more engaging and would be unique in-person experience? I don't, they are doing the dining thing, which is good, but to go beyond that, is there something else that
Yeah.
Can you walk out with a like you have to be thinking almost more like other marketers, like fast food marketers. Like I was in a McDonald's and they had all the collectible heads of the Avengers heroes, and it's like, well, why aren't you doing that in the theater and have
something that you
selling those?
cannot get from watching, like some sort of content or some sort of experience that you cannot get from watching on your laptop or watching on your television.
Yeah.
Like they have to figure out, maybe it's because people love festivals, people love film festivals, going to them and seeing the different perspectives of the actors and the cast members. Maybe it's some sort of like Q&A after, or you have somebody from the show. I don't know, maybe this is from a practical standpoint, it can't be done, but some sort of discussion that you have like after the production. People love asking questions about what they just saw.
Exactly.
When you go to those film festivals, I mean, people love being engaged. People love seeing what happened behind the scenes and talking to the real people involved with those productions, because a lot of times it gives them inspiration if they're content creators. It just makes the experience deeper. So if there's some way that you can incorporate that in those theaters, I think that's one way to get people to come and see the actual production in a big theater like that.
Exactly. So anything that gets them more engaged, that gives them something that they can't get watching it at home. Whether it's something physical or whether it's like when they have the wrap up after Game of Thrones and you get the creators talking about, well, here's how we put together this episode, here's what the considerations. Like maybe that goes along as a second
like
feature. Yeah. It used to be when you went to when you were a kid or parents, that there would be not just the main feature, but there would be like a short before it, like a Marx Brothers short or something like that, comedy short or cartoons. Warner Brothers would have the Warner Brothers cartoons and things of that nature. Like what can you do that would be that would be on screen that could be a little bit different or additive to the experience.
Some sort of insight knowledge that makes the experience deeper, and it's something that they can't get just from watching on their laptop.
Right.
So that's cool. So there's a lot of kids graduating from college, from media schools. I'm an adjunct at Montclair. You live in Montclair. Kids are a lot of people are going into this industry. Can you give any advice to a recent graduate that's trying to break into the media industry, the journalism industry, the television industry? Any advice that you could possibly provide?
Absolutely. Well, when I came out of school, there wasn't the internet. You couldn't really self-publish, and I think and access to production facilities was very limited because the cost of the cameras and everything was so high. The thing today is, while there's a tremendous amount of competition, there is the ability to, as they say, seize the means of production, because we're shooting this on a iPhone right now, and you can make a movie with an iPhone. You can make a music video with an iPhone. You don't have to have a $25,000 or $700,000.
If you talk to, I believe that, and story is always king for me. But if you talk to director of photographies, cinematographers, they're very much against using the iPhone to film anything, because they view cinematography as very much a skill and a science. But you can. I mean, depending on, you're not going to make the Avengers, but you can make something. If you have a good story, you can make something worthwhile that you don't need to spend much money on. Right. And there's really no more excuses. Like before, it's like, oh, I don't have the money. But now you don't need money to really do it.
Well, you can you get free editing software with a computer now, versus before. Nobody, you would have to go into an expensive studio at a couple $100 an hour to edit on something, and on an Avid editing machine or whatever, something that costs $100,000, now comes free on your computer. Music recording used to be incredibly expensive to do. Now again, the software is right on your computer to be able to do that. You can create. Anybody can set up a website for free. With numerous kinds software, or for a few bucks a month, you can have a site hosted where you can do your blog and do your political commentary or do your entertainment commentary. Social media gets you out there in similar ways. So the cost of production for almost everything has gone way down. And I understand your point about the camera and everything like that, but still, you can buy a prosumer camera for video camera for probably $3,000 to $5,000 and do some incredible stuff with it. Still your ability to tell a story, your ability to to think it out in visual terms, anything like that, will still be seen on something that's not as expensive as the most expensive stuff. And frankly, a lot of jobs out there in the future are not going to be. It's not going to be shooting a feature film. It's going to be shooting branded content,
short form.
We have a guy who works for us that does social media for us and some of our short form content, and he promotes a lot of top bands, and he does shoot like music videos for them on an iPhone. If it's good enough for that purpose, or you're having a clip that you want to put up in social media and stuff, it doesn't require a huge amount of dollars. Shooting a feature film is a whole other animal, as you're saying. Totally agree with that. But so I think the key thing is like, it's in your hands. Do it and try to do it every day and get it as good as you can and get feedback on what you're doing.
I think it's just so important now to have an audience and to really build an audience, whether you're a personal brand or a TV network. I think that has such value in it in today's world. It's just building that audience and getting people to watch and to engage in the things that you're creating.
Absolutely. And I think that's, for creative people, I think whether you're a musician or a writer, actor, what have you, you have to think of yourself as a business. Like, I'm an artist, but like, you're an artist, but what that really means is you're a small business. You have to understand getting the money coming in, how are you going to promote yourself, how are you going to get what product you're going to create, how are you going to get that product out to people, what's the social media elements of it, etc. So I really think that should be taught in schools, and I think actually Lehigh is kind of a leader in doing that.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania?
Yes. Oh. That they basically say you're going to have to take a kind of some core business. Everyone has to take 3 or 4 core business courses, because whether you're an artist or you're a veterinarian or whatever you are, you're going to be a business person. It's not just, and you're going to have to understand what are the aspects of running a successful business.
That's funny.
So I think that I really think that should almost be a criteria for all colleges, that they say that they have business as a core competency.
It's funny. I remember in a past life when I was in like a sales job. This is like in 2007. I remember I went on one of the office computers. Facebook was like popped up, and then the manager came, and they were like just furious, like what trivial things people were doing on Facebook with the office computer. And now it's just like to think like how all businesses, whether you're small or a huge brand like Coca-Cola or something, you're on social media like hardcore. Like it's just a part of what you do and who you are and how you are messaging. So it's just so funny to see how that change happened. Like it was seen as like this kind of like frivolous little thing that people were just taking part into becoming the way that all business is run. It's really interesting in just a decade or so. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, John, any final words with DangerTV, or any closing comments that you'd like to provide the audience?
I would just say, please tune into us. You can see our whole library of content at DangerTV.com. And if you have a Samsung, LG, or Vizio TV set, smart set, you'll soon be able to see us on there or on Roku. And hope you enjoy it. And if you have any commentary, you can reach out to us at info@dangertv.com.
All right. Thanks so much, John.
Thanks so much, Tom. Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.